Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, we're talking about an emulation front end, or launcher, known as Nostlan. And Nostlan just got a brand new update. So at the time of filming, Nostlan version 2.7 is the latest update, and it's now on itch.io. As for this update, they've updated the install links to several emulators. They've updated the Nintendo Switch database. They've fixed some bugs. They've added support for prerequisite install steps like SDL2 for MAME on macOS, and even more. Now, it is worth mentioning there are a number of different emulator front ends or launchers out there, and Nostlan is not free. Taking a look at their new itch.io page, and it does cost $15 US. Now, fortunately, similar to other front ends like Launchbox, this does have a demo if you wanted to check it out. And if you're interested and wanted to learn more about it, like everything we talk about, links are in the description below right at the bottom. I don't hide my sources. And speaking about front ends and launchers and that kind of stuff, next up we're talking about Xbox 360 emulation with something pretty new here, X360 Manager. And this is a modern, user-friendly interface for managing Xbox 360 games with the Xenia emulator. And Xbox 360 Manager, X360 Manager, just got its first release. So at the time of filming, version 1.0.0 is the first and latest release of X360 Manager. And they say here for the game library, organize and manage Xbox 360 games, ISO.xex and .xcp. Per game configs, graphics, audio, and performance tuning, one-click launch, modern UI, metadata and covers, and Xenia support. X360 Manager is 100% free and open source, and it's very new. I have not tested this out yet, but considering it's so new, I'm expecting there's going to be some bugs and issues with it that get refined over time. If you've tried this one out, let me know your thoughts about it in the comments below. And continuing to talk about Xbox 360 emulation and managers, next up we're talking about Xenia Manager. For those who may be unaware, Xenia Manager is a tool designed to simplify the use of Xenia Emulator, very similar to X360 Manager. It aims to make playing games and installing specific game patches more straightforward and user-friendly, while also providing an easy-to-use interface for adjusting Xenia settings. And Xenia Manager also got a brand new update. So at the time of filming, Xenia Manager version 2.6.0 is the latest release and the final release of version 2. They say this marks the final update for Xenia Manager version 2. Development has already shifted entirely to Xenia Manager version 3.0.0, which has been available for early testing via the experimental builds for a while. So as for what's new here, they've improved game artwork handling, and they've also disabled the Xenia Manager updater in preparation for the transition to version 3. From my understanding, upgrading from version 2 to version 3 is not necessarily going to be seamless. I wouldn't say it's difficult, but at the same time here they are coming out with an import tool to try to help conversion. In my opinion, Xenia Manager has come a very long way in a very short period of time, and I'm curious and kind of excited to see what version 3 brings. Moving on, and we're shifting from Xbox to PlayStation and talking about PlayStation 5 emulation with Shad PS5. Now, I've received a bunch of messages about this one, and I mean a whole bunch about a brand new repository here called Shad PS5. It is up on GitHub, but I will say don't really expect anything from this just yet. Don't get excited about it. There's really nothing here. It's more or less just a placeholder. So here's a bit of insight from Shadow. They say, well, Shad PS4 would have been PCSX4 if there wasn't a fake one. So I want to be sure this time, but in any case, I don't intend to add any emulation code on this. So there you have it. Shad PS5 at this point in time exists in name and I guess logo only. Don't expect anything from this anytime soon. And continuing to talk about PlayStation emulation, just going back a few generations and talking about PS2 emulation with Play. And Play continues to make improvements in leaps and bounds. For those who may be unaware, Play is 100% free, it's open source, it doesn't require a BIOS file, and it's compatible with pretty much everything: Windows, Mac, Unix, Android, iOS, and in a web browser. So at the time of filming, if you take a look at the compatibility status, they've currently tested over 2,600 games, and right now for playable is over 47% of those. So in terms of overall progress, you may want to check out Literal Mente Games' Patreon page for a brand new post here about a progress report. It's a nice write-up. There's a lot of information in here, and at a very high level, there seem to be a bunch of new verified playable games. including Phantom Brave, Tales of the Abyss, and others. And speaking about progress, next up we're talking about MAME, and this is more of just a friendly heads up. As we talked about MAME yesterday, we talked about MAME version 0.278, and in today's video we're talking about MAME on Android, which has been updated to reflect the mainline version of MAME here. So at the time of filming, MAME for Droid 2025 0.278 1.25 is the latest update. And this one is on Google Play, but I don't think the update's on Google Play just yet. If you wanted the update early, it is up here on GitHub. Next up here, we're shifting over to Nintendo, and if you're a fan of ROM hacks and you're a fan of Super Mario 64, you might be a fan of this. This is a brand new ROM hack for Super Mario 64 that's just dropped. It's called Super Mario 64: The Surge of Starlight. Based on the description, they say that this ROM hack has been in development for 11 months. And they say the goal with this hack was to use as many of the modern tools and design techniques as possible, but while also kind of keeping an old school feeling. This hack has 131 stars to collect, with 20 plus custom level models. If you are interested in this one, like everything we talk about, links are in the description below at the bottom. I'd recommend checking out the trailer and also reading the description. Next up, we're talking about Nintendo, and this is a follow-up to something we talked about in yesterday's video. So in yesterday's video, there were a lot of rumors out there and a lot of reports out there that Nintendo sold 5 million Switch 2 units in the first month after release. And it turns out that might not be correct. So for those of you who didn't see yesterday's video, I recommend giving it a watch. At a high level here, the source of this information was Nintendo. They accidentally posted information to their investor relations website before taking it down. So from my understanding here, David Gibson was able to contact Nintendo and get clarity on the matter. David says, I asked Nintendo about the leak of Switch 2 data, and they replied, it appears that test data prepared for a website update was unintentionally made publicly accessible. Furthermore, Nintendo goes on to say, temporarily visible data was for testing purposes only, and is not accurate and not related to any sales result or projection of Switch 2. And interestingly here, David and Daniel Ahmed think that there's more sales than just 5 million. David says, so do not take it that 5 million Switch 2 sell in for June. I'm expecting 5.4 million when results are announced August 1st. And Daniel Ahmed says 5 million is too low anyway. I am curious to hear your predictions in the comments below. Do you think it's going to be higher than 5 million? Do you think it's going to be lower? And I said this in yesterday's video and I'll say it again. I'm kind of surprised here with the Switch 2 success given its controversies. It doesn't seem that the high price point of the Switch 2 or the screen issues or the overheating issues or the lack of exclusives right now is really putting a dent in the sales overall. But speaking about the Switch 2 and speaking about controversies, here is another one. So here's the title over on GameRant. Brazilian agency formally notifies Nintendo over console bricking EULA clause. To be honest with you, I'm kind of surprised that agencies are acting so quickly on this one. Well, at least one of them is. So here's the paragraph that I find super interesting. Nintendo's end-user license agreement tied to the Nintendo Switch 2 console has reportedly been deemed abusive by a Brazilian consumer protection agency. I'm certain that people are going to agree with that statement before I even read the next part on what this is over. So it's over Nintendo's ability to permanently disable the Switch 2 units of users who Nintendo has found to have violated the contract. I'm not going to lie here, I am very curious to see where this goes from here and if other companies take a similar approach based on consumer protection. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below and let me know what you think might happen. And based on the reporting, it doesn't seem like we're going to have to wait very long to hear Nintendo's stance on the matter. I guess Nintendo has agreed to officially respond within 20 days. I'm very curious to see what the response is. I'm assuming Nintendo is going to take a very defensive approach. And then I'm curious to see if the Brazilian Consumer Protection Agency buys that response or if they push it forward and reject it. And speaking about stuff I find interesting, next up here we're talking about something that I would say is a huge win for game preservation. So this is the latest tweet from Games That Weren't. Missing for 33 years, we are at long last proud to present one of our holy grail titles with the release of Nigel Mansell World Championship on the Commodore 64. If you are interested in this one and wanted to learn more about it and see it in action, I recommend checking out their YouTube video here, which again I'll link in the description below. It showcases a whole lot. I mean, there's a whole lot here. And on top of that, they've got some very helpful links to some very interesting articles, and possibly the ROM for this game. What's crazy about this is, although the game didn't release, it was just something like 6 weeks away from completion, which apparently was enough to cancel the project. Overall, it's a very interesting story. I recommend checking it out, and I'm really looking forward to seeing more footage of stuff like this. And speaking about seeing more of stuff like this, next up we're talking about a game genre I wish we see more of, especially on mobile, and that's point-and-click adventures. If you're interested in point-and-click adventures or possibly exploring the genre, Fanatical has a brand new Build Your Own bundle, and I think it's worth checking out. If you're not familiar with building your own bundle, the more games you choose, the cheaper it is. For example, 3+ games are $2.28 Canadian each. 7+ games go down to $2 each. And some of these games can be priced as high as around $20 and even just a little bit more, at least in Canadian dollars. I do recommend checking it out. There's 14 games to choose from, and you can learn more about each of these games right here on the site. And speaking about games, last up we're talking about Stop Killing Games. Now, we talked about Stop Killing Games in yesterday's video due to the huge influx in people signing the petition. And that was because of the content creators, very big content creators like PewDiePie, sharing the campaign. And since then, even more people have signed. So the main campaign was looking for 1 million signatures, is still looking for 1 million signatures, and is sitting right now at just over $850,000. And the UK specific one was looking for 100,000 signatures, and right now is sitting at over that at 104,354 signatures. I am curious to see where things go from here, but I'll say this final push for the Stop Killing Games initiative seems to have been very effective. And I'm thinking here that the 1 million signatures is not going to be out of reach. I am hoping to see more from this campaign, and I'm very curious to see how everything unfolds. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff, or actually the legendary one fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Feel free to discuss anything we talked about in the comments below. If you liked this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate, save your state.